Welcome to the Self-Service Generation podcast, where we explore how technology impacts, improves, and enables the customer experience that we all expect from businesses and organizations that we engage or work with. Don't worry, we only keep it to 20 minutes, so hopefully you'll find it interesting. Thanks very much.
Hi everybody, and welcome to the Self-Service Generation podcast. You're here with me, Gavin, and also Steve. And we're just sat here just looking out the window and enjoying the beautiful weather that we've got.
Oh no, it's great in the UK, and it's actually sunny, dry and shiny and everything, and it's reasonably warm. I mean, this is amazing.
It's good.
You know,
it gives us
a smile on your face.
Yeah, I feel like a little bit like solar-powered people, really. You know, when the sun comes out, we get that energy going, and it really helps to boost the mood for the rest of the day.
Yeah, that'd be cool, wouldn't it? Solar-powered people, I like that. Yeah, what with like little hats on there with panels and that.
Exactly, and a little fan that spins just to keep you nice and cool at the same time.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's that warm, mate. I mean, you know, it's look, we're regaling the weather because we've had it. The last quarter has been like rain constantly.
It's just been a shift. Basically, we've got April and May, so we're just going to have May and June, and the summer will just be a little bit later than expected. But
is that right?
Yeah, we can't
complain.
What we're doing?
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the plan. That's from me, from a completely non-meteorological background, saying that that's the plan.
Okay, and they're forecasted El Nino for the later in the year, apparently. That's the thing. Yeah, so apparently that's what's going to happen later in the year. I don't know. Brilliant. I don't know. Let's not talk climate change. That's a bigger conversation.
Let's just leave that. It's a bit too controversial.
What are we talking about today? Go on.
So talking about hazards and alerts. So we're going to talk about I'm trying to make a transition here. We're going to talk about the main focus today is talking about making sure you are where your customers are, the focus on and importance of context. And what actually triggered this is a few weeks ago, we heard the news articles coming around that Florida decided to do their emergency alert at 4:55 in the morning. And then woke a load of people up.
Great, wouldn't it? Oh, how angry would you be if you got that at 4:55? Because that's always the time where you wake up. If you're woken up at that time, that's it now. You're done, aren't you? That's the end of your evening. That's the end of your sleep.
Especially if it's an unexpected startle as well. Like you're not expecting it, and then this thing's going off. You're like, oh, check on the kids. Is everybody okay? But the interesting, so what kind of really correlated it back to us is obviously in Plymouth we had the same thing, but they did it at a more reasonable time across every device. But the interesting thing about the Florida piece was the fact they had thought about, to some extent, the context of the situation. They had planned only to push it out to TV, so it'd only get to people who are sat at home watching TV. The biggest problem was, I'm not sure whether they just forgot to tell the person who had the controls, or whether there was just a bit of a miscommunication, because it went out on every single device, no matter where you were. So yeah, that's a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, good grief, that's crazy. Yeah, but they did ours. Ours was like mid-afternoon or something, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that they did, and that was UK wide at the same time, wasn't it? You know,
yeah,
we were getting our stuff in, you know, like you said, in Plymouth, and it went off all alarmingly. You know, but it worked quite well. It was quite effective. But there was another side to that, and again, I suppose this is about right message at the right time. There was a lot of risk with in a very serious way to people who are suffering domestic abuse and stuff like that, and had secret phones, because it would be forced the notification onto the phone. So there was a bit of a make sure that phone's off type thing. But you know, and imagine if that had gone off, then they would be hugely at risk, because you know, their partner, who's the abuser, would not be aware of the secret phone that they got for their own security. So there was a few things like that, you know, that were being kind of bandied around. You go, yeah, there's always a nuance. There's always something, isn't there, that you've got to understand before you do these big things. You know, as part of understanding what could possibly happen. What's the risk matrix to this particular rollout of a large thing?
And the biggest challenge with something like that as well, because you're going to everybody, you have to kind of take into consideration all the different nuances of society and all those different challenges and areas, and having that a really good interesting of that where are the potential, and I guess you can only manage risks so much, but you've kind of got to be really look at those nuances, understand the context of where people are going to be, what the situations that they're in, and work out kind of how do you mitigate that risk, how do you prepare people for kind of what's going to happen, and make sure that they're kind of able to be able to react appropriately, i.e. turn off your phone.
Yeah, well, there was a fair bit of coverage in the media to do that, so that you'd hope that somebody would be able to pick that stuff up. But yeah, a bit of a tricky one. But I suppose really in these things you're only going to be able to cover a percentage of that. Like the 80-20 rule we all work to make sure 80% are absolutely bang on. But even those you've got to plan it well. Be where they are and make sure that it's the right notification at the right time type of thing.
Those alerts that are there to try and protect people. The idea that potentially they could have the opposite effect is an interesting kind of a situation to be in. I think, and that's back to the point, isn't it? It's context is key. It's being able to understand and do that piece of work to be able to go, okay, actually, let's dig deep and understand where these challenges might lie, and having an element of experience in and looking at how other countries are doing it as well, and building that experience is going to be really important.
I suppose this could be applied to any business. I've just so new mattress on the way apparently.
Hopefully.
But purchased it a while ago, and sometimes these things take a while, and that's fine. I was in no particular rush for it, but and I'm not going to name the brand to embarrass them on this, but the buying process was great. All very easy and straightforward, and it worked all right. They had a little package that you could do. They had money off. They had all the things that you want to find when you're buying something. They bought it all on my phone, so they had a good mobile journey. So it was all great, and it looked fine. And then I started to get horror stories as soon as I bought it. Like about a few days later, loads of Trustpilot stuff. I'm going, why are we not? We haven't got any kind of information about what's happening next. Yeah. There's nothing happening next. I'm expecting an email to go, there you go. We will be dispatching this over the next few days. We will get this to you in the next few days. So, we're getting this. We're at this stage at the moment. The normal stuff that you get. It's a big purchase.
I say mattresses. You can't fit a mattress through a post box, can you?
No, it's not. You have to know.
Or even in your dustbin, which seems to be the place that people love to drop deliveries, because that's like a good idea.
Why did they do that? That's a whole different conversation. Don't get me started on that one.
That's the people not understanding the context or the purpose of these things. This is the thing where rubbish goes in. Granted, it'll be dry, but it's no good if it's in the back of a bin lorry, is it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, don't put it in the blimmin' compost bin, for crying out loud. I don't understand why they do that. Anyway, yeah. But this has been a bit of a farce, this whole thing, and because they've not linked their stuff up. Yeah. It's crazy. So they've not been able to notify me. So then came out with, this is the window of when we're going to do it. That took a while to get that. So, you just spent, it's £1,000. It's a fair purchase.
Yeah.
And you go, I want to know where every £1,000 is gone and if they're going to get anything. And you kind of look at this and go, right, okay, well that's going to take that time. Okay, fine, all right. They've now told me, not soon, but they told me that several days later, this is what's going to happen. And then they're going, okay, did he had a window? Nothing in this window. And then they go, oh, and all of a sudden, last ditch attempt thing, they go, right, we've shipped it. And you go, oh, great, okay, all right. Well, it was the end of the window that they said, but they shipped it. They go here to go and see what's going on. They go there, no information. It says, we do not have any information. And you're going, what? Hey, what?
Who does?
You've just said you've shipped it. Tell me that it's just like, we're in the warehouse at the moment picking out your thing. And you go, okay, that's great. That's all I needed to know. Even if it's a default message, do it. You know,
Or
you
it's
just
with the courier, or like, or something that says it's at this stage of the journey. That's the problem, isn't it? Because obviously they've nailed it on. They've spent so much time tweaking and improving the purchasing journey to get it all slick and make it really easy to hook you in and make you make a purchase, and then completely forgotten the fact that it's not an easy thing necessarily to deliver. It requires planning, which is going to be stress on the consumer side, and you have to understand the context of for the person who's making this purchase. They're potentially going to have to book time off or work from home in order to be able to accept that delivery to their house and have to be there. So it's like, they're not really
you've got to
helping.
give good information. This is an important part of their experience. So their customer experience, their CX is broken in this regard. And what ended up happening is the courier they've handed over to then had to phone me. They doubled the order, so I was going to get 2 matches, not one. So they said, "Is this right? Because we're not sure it's right." And we go, "No, it isn't right." Oh, okay. And then they sent me a link. Then I had to go and book a thing off the link on the thing to say this is when I'm going to get it. And you just go, wow, this is a hell of a process to do. And I'd like to say I'm tech savvy enough to do it, and it wasn't a big hassle to me in that regard. But they've clearly got a problem, and they're not communicating the fact that they've got delays of getting deliveries, and they've got some system problem. Why am I getting a double order? They've allocated me 2 mattresses. What the hell? You can't. So their stock management's going to be out of whack. So they don't know what they've got, where they've got it. But if you've got a problem, you've got to communicate it. Just give me we've got a problem. Stuff is a bit delayed. We're getting on. We're on top of it. Don't worry. But instead, I'm getting emails going, enjoy your new experience with our mattress and stuff like that. I'm going, I haven't got it yet.
That just creates annoyance, isn't it? Back down to context again. They're sending you messages where you're sat there getting annoyed, and they're pumping their brand at you, and you're going, I can't enjoy this experience. Like you not even know where it is. Someone somewhere else is probably enjoying it right now, as far as you're concerned.
You're enjoying this amazing sleep experience you're having. Okay, no, I'm not.
I'm actually not sleeping because I'm so stressed about where the mattress is.
I'm worried about when my mattress is getting all right.
I thought this was supposed to make it easier for me to sleep. What's going on? That's the thing, but it's about. But that's the important thing, isn't it? Here we're talking about the having the understanding of where the key endpoints are. So where's the customer? The customer is a key point in this journey. Obviously, the courier and the courier's a company, and the team, the delivery driver, and the people in the warehouse, they're key parts of that experience as well as the people within the organisation who are obviously a lot of this has been automated to some extent, and these people create these companies, and the process is automated from a purchase point of view, and they think, look, we'll just send this order to the courier. We're sending that information to them. To some extent, like we're giving them what they need, but then forget about the rest of the experience. And if the technology is there, the technology should be there to do the hard stuff, like integrate the systems together. So as a company that's selling a product, like you can integrate with the courier system, so you know where that order is, how that transition is happening, so you can then give that data. And that's a big thing we always talk about from a self-service point of view. It's having access to data and information to empower people to make their own decisions and to make their own choices. If you can give the customer that data and say, this is where it is, there's that piece of they will sleep better just by having that. If their policy is creating better night's sleep, then just that should be they should be thinking about the whole journey, not just the mattress piece.
No, absolutely. Because the problem is now is that much as I got this from a recommendation, and so I went to purchase this mattress off a recommendation. So a friend recommended and said, yeah, they're very good. The mattress is great. Because looking at there's loads.
Yeah.
But I'm going to now struggle doing the same. So they got the sale off a recommendation from my friend. So you've now broken it for me to recommend it to somebody else because you had a problem and you didn't communicate it. They've clearly got a problem and they didn't communicate. If they communicate and go, look, we're really sorry, but we've got a bit of a warehouse issue, some stock has not arrived as we expected it, or whatever their excuse would be, we're sorting it out and we will be with you, and we're doing a little complimentary X, or we will keep you up to date as much as we can. two things. They're not going to have the deluge of inbound communications. They are going to be absolutely overrun with people going, "Where's my order?" Yeah. Then they've got then the experience where you go, "Well, that's okay. I bought a mattress. Mattresses aren't usually something I need tomorrow. That's fine, as long as I know that you haven't lost my order somewhere and you've got some sort of issue that's delaying things. I actually don't mind.
Yeah.
Just explain it to me."
Yeah, it's all good until you find someone sleeping on a sleeping bag in their in their bedroom somewhere because they've got rid of their mattress expecting it to arrive in a couple of days. They've gone through the process and they're just like 3 weeks later. Where is this mattress? Like, where is?
That's right. I've got a really bad back now because I've been sleeping on the carpet for 3 weeks.
But it's also it's the cost of the business. You talk about the cost of the business from a marketing point of view.
Yeah.
But we've already said, like, you almost had 2 mattresses delivered. So what's the
Yeah.
cost of the business of having that kind of mistaken order?
That's because their systems aren't working.
Yeah, so it's like there's all these things which are going to impact it. It's interesting, kind of going through that process of like understanding that whole journey. I know HSBC have been doing a little bit of work in that, trying to understand it, because obviously, as the technology with banking becomes better, they're starting to try to understand how they can better serve their customers. And one of the things they've been doing a lot is really trying to make sure that when they're looking at their tailored app experience, they can tailor the messaging specifically around their customer. So, for example, if they see a customer is always going into branch to post a check-in, then they'll know that the system will understand that that's happening, and they'll be able to sort of notify them of functionality in the app to take a photo of the check and send it in. So by doing that, like understanding an intelligent piece and building that kind of that base of data that they can work with, they can start actually giving messages to the customer that are a lot more tailored, and not just selling them insurance or other credit cards or things like that. Which also usually do.
It's a huge piece that I mean we work with KBC, it's a big Belgian bank, with the voice bot stuff, and it's the same thing. They understand which journeys people are happy to self-serve. So those journeys are self-served, and it's stuff like just changing addresses and doing things like that. It's a robust identification process. All sorts of different technologies available to do that. You can do voice identification now. Voice identification is better than iris and fingerprint and everything. It's more unique than anything now.
I don't know, not with everything. With the AI stuff that's going on, I'd be more concerned with that more than anything, with all the voice replication. I'm like, wait a second, there's no way around it. Like you could probably mold your face to look like someone's face. It used to be initially in the early versions, you could get like a photocopy of your face, and you could use that to unlock them. But now there's a lot more mapping going on.
Doesn't do that now. But yeah, voice ident is very good. But anyway, so you have this robust stuff going on. But you're understanding that actually some people will want a phone, and some people will want to use the app, and some people will want to do a different journey. You have to understand that, some people live in WhatsApp, some people live in a different channel, and having that all connected up, so it's the same journey, it's just through the method that you want to do it. Then that works. Works really well.
And spending that time to actually get to know, and not just using the shallow data. Like you've got the data to say this is what's happening. Like this person's always cashing checks. It's spending time to understand, actually doing that contextual inquiry, doing that research to go, okay, why are they doing that? Because if you don't understand why they're doing that and what the reason is behind it, shoving an ad in front of them isn't necessarily going to work. So you have to understand the context of why there's. I mean, we did it with Palex when we started working with Palex and the delivery management application. Our designer spent a day in the cab with the delivery driver, in like just going through a journey and understanding like what that looks like where are the shortcuts potentially being made, like why are they being made, how is the system working, where are the frustrations, and you're only going to get that by actually spending time with people in the environment where they're at. And it's and it's so important when you're building these systems to really kind of understand where they're going to fit in. You can't get that information from getting all the CEOs in their workshop and hoping they understand what's actually happening on the ground. Like you have to you have to do a balance of both, like understand the business objectives, and you will need that to get leaders in the room to understand what those are, but spend some time like with people who are actually doing the work where this is going to impact.
Well, you've got to have your own the SMEs in the room, haven't you? The subject matter experts that actually know about that layer of the business, and that's the one. They're on the coal face. They're the ones that are having the problem. So this is our pinch point here. This is our pinch point there, and they're the people that will tell you what they actually need, not the CEO, not the C-suite.
Exactly.
You know,
and that's the thing. And we're from a B2C point of view, we're quite lucky in regards to there's lots of places where people can offer feedback. There's lots of platforms where people are talking about these things, whether it's Reddit, whether it's Trustpilot, whether all these places where people are talking about it, and you can kind of get a feel for where the frustrations are. I mean, for our side of things, looking at App Store reviews is a really good example of that. But there's also a massive tranche of people that don't leave reviews, and you still need to make sure they also are going to get their voices heard at the same time. But it is important when you're designing these experiences, and I hope that the company that did the mattress that you bought the mattress from actually spend some time to look at kind of and it will, because it'll ultimately it will start negatively impacting their bottom line.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because they're fighting fires at the moment, but at some point they'll get back on an even keel and be okay. But what are they going to learn from it, and are they going to understand that are they just going to go, well, thank goodness that we got to the other end of that, and not really change anything fundamental to stop that whole experience, or communicate better, or do something different, give them the right the right journey for the right person at the right time to do that. You can't forget the other end of this process. This is an important process for them.
It is really important, and it's back down to the point of I think that with everything that's going on, I think there's a lot of people wait until there's a problem before they start implementing these sorts of systems, and it's kind of like you don't want to wait until you're losing to start fighting and making a change. I kind of joke about, I call kind of the transformation piece or driving towards digital piece like it's starting a war on mediocrity. It's kind of like things like start like understanding where the challenges are, where the problems are working in your process, and start working at how you can make improvements. Don't wait until something goes drastically wrong, because ultimately then you've lost customers and you've lost money and it's too late. Start looking in your business and working at where those opportunities are, whether it's kind of improving the communications with your customer through implementing voice bots or chat bots, or whether it's building something that allows the customer to self-serve, which is obviously our focus of the podcast, is working out how we can look at different sectors, look at different businesses, and work out where are the opportunities for self-service as a whole.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and I think we tend to talk to people who are head of continual improvement and stuff like that, and those are the right people in the business. But the number of times that I've spoke to those people and they've then been brought up short because on high has said, no, we're not doing it now, or we'd change, or everything's on hold from that perspective, or something like that. You just go, how can something like that be stopped? Just because you're going through some other change over here, you can't just stop this process. You've still got to carry the process through. You've got to improve this stuff. You can't just pause everything. There's a hold on everything. You just go, what's that? Why? How can you do that?
We've seen that a lot,
that it's going to hurt you.
We've seen that a lot over the last 5, 6, 7 years. Like people going for process, something drastic happens. There's a big kind of stop, kind of being like, oh, we can't do anything right now, we can't invest, we can't spend money, and then people are like, wait a second, we actually have to do something. Like we have to spend some money, we have to make a change, we have to do something, otherwise we're just gonna get stuck.
Well, you don't go, it's not that you stay at the point you're at, you go backwards quite rapidly,
because everyone else is overtaking you.
Very quickly.
And the banking and the banking industry is a massive one of those. We've seen it with new challenger banks coming in and really driving the market forwards, and these kind of bigger organizations coming in and trying, almost to some extent, playing catch up with their infrastructure and trying to work out, okay, how can we catch up? How can we beat these industries?
It's kind of, they have the money because they seriously have the money, but they don't seem to have the vision internally to do it or move quickly enough with it.
It's so wrapped. I think I started to write a blog post on it. It's so wrapped in the bureaucracy that they can't actually move fast enough to be able to progress.
Interestingly, one of our main clients, and again, I'm not going to name them because wouldn't want me to be saying this, but they were started off quite dynamic some years ago. So probably about 7 years ago, they were very, very dynamic. But they did massive acquisitions, loads of acquisitions. Yeah. And they became corporate kind of by default because of that. You know, they kind of had to, you know, centralize some stuff and make changes, and the whole reason that they could do the acquisitions is because we're going to make a cost saving. But the point is because they've now gone to a very corporate stance, they're now finding that they still have the dynamic will internally, but they've got this corporate structure that's stopping them from doing it.
Yeah.
And you've got to think like you be a corporate, but think like a dynamic startup.
Think like a startup. Yeah.
You know, that type of thing. Yeah, I know it's hard to do, but people put a lot of layers to it. You know, it's got to go through this, they've got to go through this, got to go through that, and you just go. Sometimes you just need to get it done.
Yeah,
you know, and not and listen to the people that are on the ground.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It has to be led. Ultimately, it has to be led from the top. It has to run all the way through every level of the organisation. Everyone has to be part of that kind of transformation journey because they are one way or another. Whether it's they're having to bring on new systems. But you also have to understand where they are, where their position is, bringing it back to kind of that whole context piece, understanding what they're doing in those roles and how it's going to impact them, and making sure they're implementing tools that are going to improve the way that they're working, but also understand the challenges that are going to come with that and where those potential opportunities are. Brilliant.
Well, I think we've ran out of gas now. We could talk about this for another day, but we haven't got time, and I think we've probably had a long podcast today. Apologies, everybody. And
we did have a week off, so
I'll give you a mattress update on the next one. How's about that?
I got a holiday. You're on holiday for a bit, so we'll see. What are you going to do if it arrives while you're away? Oh, I guess you booked it in.
No. I have managed to book it in now through all this prolonged process, but it has been probably, it's been 2 or 3 weeks later than it should have been in normal terms, I'd say.
I'm fully expecting you to get home from holiday to find a big package on your front door with
another mattress
with a mat on top to try and cover it up.
Yeah,
I think I'd prefer that to be in the bin.
Just keep bringing me mattresses. You know, they just keep bringing them. The drive's filling up with mattresses. Just keep bringing them.
Oh dear.
I open my own bed store after mattresses this businesses keep sending me.
Exactly. Well, that's a really good tangent for us actually, because I think next time we're actually talking about homes. So the plan for the next podcast is going to be smart homes. So the transition towards homes. I really like the way that you did that, obviously on purpose to help us.
Yeah, that's exactly what I planned. Yeah, I was all over it, mate. All over it.
So yeah, if you're interested in the internet things space and smart homes, that's going to be the topic of our next podcast. But yeah, thanks everybody for listening. Thanks Steve for your time, and we look forward to the next one.
All right, thanks very much.